Preface. The Physics of Enlightenment. You contained infinite potential and a boundless capacity for happiness and fulfillment. How do I know? Quantum physics has revealed this to be the nature of the reality, and in this book, I hope to explain these discoveries and their profound implication to you. These principles can guide you to a better life and all of us to a better world. The first step on the road to the happiness and fulfillment is to understand the order of the universe and your place in it. It takes two to be happy in this world. It takes you and the world, and the two must be in the harmony. You can't cope to find happiness in your personal life if you aren't living in harmony with the universe, and simply cannot happen if you don't understand the universe you live in. This is why understanding quantum physics is so essential. It will help you understand the universe. Most of my career has not focused on the things such as happiness and fulfillment. I have spent the largest part of my life in a laboratory doing the things that a decent physical chemist should do, and teaching. My focus in those years was on the esoteric things such as quantum chemical computations and electron diffraction and studies of the molecular structures. But then, a couple of decades ago, it struck me as a real problem that my students in physics chemistry had great difficulties understanding the conceptual meaning of the quantum chemistry. They had no problems learning and applying the challenging mathematical techniques, but they had no idea what it all meant. Yes. I realized this was a common problem. Most people don't understand quantum physics even though we interact with it every day. For example, chances are that you have no problem using high-tech toys such as a cell phone and computers, but chances are that nobody has ever tried to explain to you the principle of quantum physics which enables these devices to function. To help my students understand what the concepts of the quantum theory says about the world and the important life lessons we can learn from them, I developed a special quantum reality class. And with this, something unexpected happened. We have at our university a course evaluation system. It provides every teacher with anonymous comments of the students in the class. Students love this opportunity to give their teachers a hard time and to speak their mind without any fear. Now, in the quantum reality class, to my delight, students' reactions were overwhelmingly positive. Year after year, they expressed their excitement about the power of quantum phenomena to open their minds to a new understanding of the world and to change their outlook on life from what they had been taught before. This opened my eyes. This has changed my perception of everything. This made me think of the world in a way I never thought about. There are just some of the hundreds of similar reactions. Through my student comments, I became aware of a life-changing power of the quantum phenomena. There is more to quantum physics than physics. I realized that understanding the quantum phenomena was useful for every day, including me. They have changed my own life in many unexpected ways. For example, when I grew up in Europe, I was turned off by the dogmatic and threatening posture of the church to which my parents sent me, and I became a thoughtless atheist. Since then, the quantum phenomena have taught me that atheism is a mistake because it isn't an agreement with the nature of the world. Really? You turn into the religious again? Really? Similarly, some 40 years ago, when I came to the United States as an immigrant, I was amazed by the level of aggression that is accepted as a normal in our society. As a child, I had been constantly admonished to be kind and cooperative. Yes? Yet, in this country, aggression is a virtue. Oh, United States of America. Certainly in the business world, in the politics, and in the public entertainment. In contrast, the nature of the quantum world shows us that the best way to live is with kindness, and knowing this has helped me to live in an aggressive environment without being aggressive myself. The quantum phenomena are so life-changing because they reveal the connection between our life and the life of the universe. Many people react with a panic when they hear the word physics or chemistry. Everyone seems to have some horrible memories of the sadistic science teacher who terrified students. Shame on him or her. There is nothing to fear from chemistry or physics, and from more than 40 years of teaching, I know that anyone with there is insect. Just a moment. There is insect on my table. Just a moment. She suddenly disappeared. Yeah. I know that anyone with an interest can develop a sound understanding of the concept of the quantum science. It is true that mathematical techniques involved are forbidding, and special training is needed to understand them. But you don't need to know the mathematics to grasp the concept of the quantum theory. They are challenging, but in a different way from what you would expect. The quantum concepts are challenging because what they say about the world isn't what you see on the visible surface. They seem so esoteric because they refer to an invisible part of the reality that is real, even though you can't see it. When you hear, for example, that the quantum phenomena tells us that all things and people are interconnected in the holistic background of the universe, whose nature is mind-like, your first reaction might well be, that doesn't make sense to me. Why doesn't it make sense? Because when you take a look at the world, you see isolated material things, lumps of the matter, but nothing mind-like and interconnected. So your judgment is simple. The quantum view of the world doesn't make sense. In this book, we would often consider the hidden meaning of the words and how language can make you think in a certain way. Here is a wonderful example. Consider the statement we just used. That doesn't make sense. What is the sentence trying to tell you? It is telling you that if it isn't in your senses, it is meaningless. It is nonsense. But why should being in your sense be synonymous with being meaningful? Yes, wow. Why should something be meaningful only if you can sense it? Wow. And here is the thing. The phenomena of the quantum physics tells us that the most important part of the world is invisible. That is outside of the realm of your senses. This part transcends our experience, and it can never be in your senses. It means that in a very fundamental way, the visible realm of the invisible realm of the reality doesn't make sense. Wow! But the invisible part of the reality is real. Because it can act on you. For example, it can make the neurons in your brain jump from one quantum state to another and give you either a brilliant idea or a headache. So, not being in our senses, not making senses, doesn't mean something is meaningless. Another reason why the quantum phenomena may seem so challenging to understand is that their discovery is relatively recent. Quantum physics began in the 1900s, but it took decades to evolve to its fullest, and important aspects are still being discovered. Quantum physics is the branch of the science that deal with the elementary constituents of the things at the foundation of the visible world, such as the atom and molecules. At that level, surprising aspects of the world are found. Energy, for example, appears in indivisible amounts called quanta, while energy appears in indivisible amounts called quanta. That term is a plural form of the Latin quantum, which means how great or how much. Wow. Because of their recent discovery, the messages of new physics have never really been accepted in the public domain. The journalists don't want to write about things they don't understand. Yes, that's true. So they don't write about the quantum world exactly. Teachers don't like to talk about things they don't really understand, so the science that is being taught in our high school is still mainly Newton's physics of the materialism and Darwin's biology of selfishness and aggression. Wow. Chances are that when you grew up, you were taught these theories and their corresponding view of the world. But quantum physics has now shown these to be in the fundamental ways inaccurate and even wrong. The early years of your life were formative years. Everything that you heard when you were growing up was downloaded into the depths of your mind, where it now influences, even controls your thinking. So when you are confronted with an aspect of the world that doesn't fit those theories, the first reaction of your mind may be to reject it, and a good way for it to do that is to tell you can't understand this. It isn't that the concept of the quantum theory are in themselves so difficult. No, the problem is that your mind makes them difficult. You can think of the biases in your mind like a bacterial infection. In the same way in which your guts at the one time were invaded by E. coli, your mind at one time was infected by a population of the bacteria. These roam the liver of your mind like predators. Every idea or thought that they don't want you to think is snapped into pieces. The goal of these predators is to close your mind to new ideas. You can see this in public discussions when people argue on the different sides of the controversial issue. In such discussions, the focus of the participants is never on learning something new, but on protecting their personal bias. Max Planck, the founder of the quantum physics, has described this phenomenon. A new scientific truth, he wrote, does normally not prevail in the way that its opponents become convinced and declare that they have learned something, but rather because its opponents eventually die out. Yes. And the following generation is familiar with truth from the outset. Yes. If your mind is controlled by a bunch of predators that force you to live in a conflict with the order of the world, it can make you very unhappy. Yes. It can even make you physically sick. This book is about making a new beginning. Wow, this is what I need right now. Exactly. Making a new beginning means digging deep down into your mind to get everything out that is in there. Your wishes, your convictions, your views of the world, your motivations, your principles, your logic, your habits, your love and needs, everything. And ask yourself, why is all this stuff in my mind, and why do I want it to be there? Did I put it there, or has someone turned me into a puppet? This book will give you options, allowing you to make an educated decision as to what to accept in your mind and what not. and lessons on how to keep an open mind. When we talk about the power of quantum phenomena to be a guide in our life, even in moral and spiritual issues, one aspect is important. The lessons from the quantum reality will never tell you what you have to think and what you have to do. The lessons are never dogmatic like the rule of the catechism or biblical commandments. They provide you with options, with suggestions of how you can live. When I taught my quantum reality class, I always emphasized to my students that I would never tell them that what they should think, but I would describe options to them that would make them think, alternatives that they could consider in their private decisions of how they wanted to live. Making a new beginning is something like the awakening that René Descartes, the French philosopher often called the founder of the modern philosophy, experienced in the 17th century. One night, when he was a soldier with the French army in Germany, he saw in a flash the order of the universe and the multitude of the error that I had accepted as true in my earliest years, and the dubiousness of the whole superstructure I had since then reared on them. He observed the consequent need of making a clean sweep for ocean in my life and beginning again from the very foundations. Once in a lifetime, or maybe several times, each one of us, you and I, should have a Cartesian momento in which we expose the errors that we have accepted as true since our earliest life and plunge into the deep sea of our mind. Wow. Our minds need a clean sweep, and so does the globe. This world can't continue to live in the way in which it has lived for the past few hundred years. The world view of the classical science, Newton's physics and Darwin's biology, and the attitude toward life that followed from it have ridden this world into the ditch. Like our individual minds, the whole world has to make a new beginning. So let us take the first step. Quantum theory will open your minds to exciting possibilities. It will show you that you have a potential in you that is boundless, and it will reveal the connection between the physical and the mental, between the rational and the spiritual, between the physics and the metaphysics, between the quantum world and your morals, and between the order of the universe and the order of the human world. When I first got involved with the quantum phenomena, I thought that the discovery of the quantum physics in the 1900s was merely the beginning of the change of the worldview of the physical sciences. But everything changed at the time, not only physics but also the arts, literature, music, the order of the world. There are now reasons to believe that changes that began in the 1900s wasn't only a change in the worldview of the science, but a mutation of the human consciousness. Why don't you take a quantum jump, of course, and join the new species? Join the new species. So cool.